This story happened back in 1972. I was out enjoying the night of Halloween when suddenly my legs started to hurt like hell. But thankfully, my house was very nearby, so I simply called it a day and just headed home. And back home, I found that my dad was about to leave for a night off with his folks. So in minutes, I was left totally by myself. An hour later, I was laying on the couch eating some candy when suddenly my body went numb and I couldn't move. Then, my vision started looking weird, kind of wavy with very contrasted colors. I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my mouth. I was left in this nightmarish state for quite a few minutes before I was suddenly able to move my head again. I was looking around the room when I saw a tall figure walking very slowly in the living room. The figure didn't want to scare me or anything. It was simply moving slowly towards the door as if it was invisible to everyone else. Then, it all ended. Simple as that. And I was able to move my whole body again. I told my mom about it later along with a few of my friends. And of course, nobody believed me. If any of you have any good explanations on why this happened, please tell me. I live in a town that is known to be fairly safe, and honestly, I always felt comfortable walking alone. Until one day, it was during the clown craze. I was enjoying my daily walk as usual, and even though there were rumors that some of those clown freaks will be at my town, I honestly didn't give a shit and barely believed the news. That day, I was walking to the library to return some books when I saw a man dressed as a clown staring at me across the street. And in no time he started laughing and started moving slowly towards me. I was horrified, and in a glimpse he started running fast towards me. All I could do was try to run away. My brain couldn't process the situation as everything happened so freaking fast. I was so scared I couldn't even scream while running away from him. And as I was already close to the library, I headed to it instantly and literally jumped through the door. And when I finally got myself inside it, I looked behind, and he was standing in front of the door. He didn't have enough balls to get in there, especially after chasing an underage kid across the street. He started laughing like a maniac for a few seconds before he simply ran away of sight. Even though this incident happened a long time ago, I never had the courage to tell anyone about it, as I was mentally unprepared for anyone disbelieving what I went through. He was probably just a sick freak who took advantage of the clown's trend to do whatever he wanted under a mask. From all of my heart, I hope he's burning in hell for real. I was at my friend's house for a sleepover when we decided to go out for a walk around the neighborhood before midnight. And to break the boredom, we decided to play the Ding Dong Ditch game. And if you're not familiar with it, it's simply when you ring on doors and run away. A childish but an enjoyable prank. We marked our targeted house, and in no time we were ringing on the door like crazy and started running away just in time. In few seconds the door was opened, and there was one of the creepiest men we've ever saw. We started to walk away instantly, but he came out right after us and kept following us with his phone camera pointed at our backs. So we started to walk even faster to get away from him as much as we could. But this freak just kept sprinting to catch up on us. So we ran right back home. And yes, I know this was pretty stupid move of us. But anyways, once we were there, he came up to the front door, knocked it on few times, and shouted at us if we liked how he's banging at the door and how we enjoyed the annoying he caused. Then he simply left. It's been a year and we didn't see him again. Back then, it was one of my scariest moments of my life. But now, when we remember that day, it was kinda funny. It was a dark and stormy night. I was sitting at home, trying to pass the time by watching some Netflix shows. The wind was howling outside, and the rain was beating against the windows, making it feel as though the world was coming to an end. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the backyard glass door. I froze, wondering who could possibly be out in such terrible weather. I hesitated for a moment, then slowly made my way to the door. As I approached, I smelled a weird rotting smell in the air. And when I was in front of the glass door, I peeked through the glass on the backyard, and to my shock, I saw a weird figure standing on the other side, and due to the weather conditions, it took me few seconds to realize that it was a young girl, no more than 10 years old, with long, flowing white hair and a pale gaunt face. She wore an old-fashioned dress, and her eyes were dark and empty. I felt a wave of fear wash over me, and I stepped back, not wanting to attract the attention of her. Something does not seem right. But as I turned around to get back upstairs and lock myself in, the girl reached out and touched the window, as if she was trying to communicate with me. I watched in horror as she slowly vanished, disappearing into the door as if it were some sort of portal to another world. I stood there, frozen in place, my heart racing with fear and confusion. I had no idea what to do, or what this all meant. All I knew was that I had just seen a ghost, and that I was terrified. I spent the rest of the night huddled in my bed, too scared to sleep or even move. And when the dawn broke and the storm had passed, I knew that I would never be the same again. I had seen a ghost, a real fucking ghost. I remember when I was around the age of 12, my family and I lived in a small apartment on the 7th floor, which in fact was pretty damn high for a kid with acrophobia. And since our building was full of red flags, like drug addicts and all sorts of criminals, I was not allowed to go out or get in touch or play with any of the other kids in the building. One night, after my mother turned off the lights for bedtime, the whole family went to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night, around 2 a.m. I was pretty thirsty, so I was going to grab a cup of water from the kitchen. But as I was pulling off my blanket, I heard noises. Noises coming from the other side of the house. Being a stupid kid, I didn't think anything of it. So I got up and walked out of my room. The moon was lighting up the room through the open sliding door to the balcony. But then I came to the terrifying realization that the sliding door was supposed to be closed. I knew this because I was the one who closed it before bed. But at that moment I heard those noises again, and they were coming from the kitchen. I realized that someone might actually be in the home. I tried tiptoeing to my parents' room, but I looked behind me, and what I saw scared me to death. It was a man in a costume. He looked at me and started laughing. Then he tried pulling me towards him, but I broke out of his grip and ran to my mother's room. I was too scared to say anything. The next morning I told my mother everything, but she told me it was all just a wild nightmare. I tried to tell my dad, but he said the same. Only me know what happened, but no one believes me. I will never forget that shit he wore over his head. I'm in my mid-20s now, and till this very day, I never get out of bed at night, for any reason, no matter what.